So in this session, we'll be doing May, June 2005. Same advice from last videos. Try to finish within an hour. When you're doing your paper, you have an hour and 15. If you have that extra 15 minutes or even more than the 15 minutes, you could always go back and finish your answers. Make sure you answer everything. Never ever leave out any questions in a multiple choice because chances are the one that you guess might be the correct one. So if you don't know the answer directly, try the method of elimination. If that's still not working, then just pick something that you think making sense. So let's get started. My pencil. Hopefully you don't have to draw anything like that horrible hummingbird from the 2004 paper we did previously. So anyway, so item one refers to the following animals which were classified using the visible characteristics listed below. So that would be shape, the number of wings, as well as the number of antennae. So number one, what other visible characteristics could be used for classification processes? The answer is C, which is the tail. Size wouldn't be it. The weight, we don't know the weight. Fur, we do not know if they have fur. So the answer would be the tail because one has a tail while the other two doesn't. Item two refers to this food web here. So they want to know the carnivores in the food web are the D, the bird and the dog. The reason why they are the carnivores, they eat other animals. So in this case, the dog eats the bird, and the bird eats the um, caterpillar and the beetle. The dog also eats the rabbit. Number three, when does respiration occur in plants? Respiration occurs all the time. Respiration doesn't only occur in the night. Photosynthesis stops during the night because of the absence of light. 4. Which of the following is not indicated by the direction of the arrows in the food chain? We're seeing this one again, so this is something that they love to bring. The answer is B, the amount of food each animal eats. 5. Which of the following situations best emphasize exemplifies an ecological community? The answer is D, the organisms in a fresh water pond. The reason why that would be the answer, so I was going to skip the explanation, but I'll just explain it. The reason why this would be is because they want to know the community, but all the others, they specified a particular organism. All they said for D is the organisms. So organisms could be any of the plants, any of the animals that are there. Item 6-7 refers to the following plant cell structures. So we have the mitochondria, the cell membrane, the chloroplast, and the chromosomes. So 6, the site of production of ATP. This is the mitochondria through aerobic respiration. And 7, structures that move to the poles of the cell during cell division. We know these are the chromosomes. 8. Which of the following processes does not contribute to the carbon dioxide content of the atmosphere? The answer is A, photosynthesis. Photosynthesis removes carbon dioxide from the environment. Number 9, the part of the gut into which bile empties is the A, duodenum. 10, the variation in cellular structure found in any complex organism is due to the process of despecialization. Remember, I said previously, know that the next word is differentiation, just in case either comes. 11. When athletes run a long distance race, which of the following changes takes place in their body? B. a drop in the level of glycogen in the liver. We met that already. So item 12 refers to the following apparatus setup to test for products of aerobic respiration. So 12, they want to know what's the liquid or the solution in Jazzy. That would be lime water or calcium hydroxide. That would give the milky appearance to let you know that carbon dioxide is being produced. Item 13 refers to the following characteristics of certain structures. So you have thin walled surface, excellent blood supply, always moist, large surface area. We met this question already. So these characteristics most likely associated with the A, diffusion of gases. Same question with the heart. So, in a patient with a certain defective heart condition, it is found that blood flows from point 1 to 2. So, blood is going from the ventricle into the atrium. What is malfunctioning here? That would be D, the bicuspid or the mitral valve. 15 to 16 refers to the following structures found in the leaf of a flowering plant. So, the epidermis, the mesophyll layer, guard cells, and the vein. So which of these structures contain chloroplasts? That would be 2 and 3, which is the mesophyll layer and the guard cells. And 16, a whole plant has its roots submerged for a few hours in water colored with red ink. So in which part of the leaves does the ink first show up? The answer would be D, in the veins, because we know with the xylem vessels, the water is going up there, therefore that would turn pink first. 17. Human red blood cells are normally A, disc-shaped without a nucleus. Item 18 refers to the following table here. So we met this table already, and they were asking which one was not correct based on the information here. So they have the same table but just a different question. So in which organ of the body does the changes in concentration of the substances shown in the table occur? That would be C, in the kidneys. Item 19 to 20 refers to the following diagram of plant cells. So 19, the manufactured food is transported in B, 2, so the 2 here, and 4, right? This is just the flat drawing, and this is from a section. So when they cut the stem, this is what you'll see. And 20 companion cells are represented by C3 and 5. So 3 and 5 here, because this is the phloem just from the upward view or above view. 21. Which of the following substances is not an excretory product of body metabolism? A, feces. Feces is a product of egestion. So egestion is the removal or getting rid of the undigested material from the alimentary canal, while everything else, there, water, sweat, urine, that is excretory products. 22. Which of the following organisms has the least need for a transport system? A, the amoeba, because the amoeba is just one cell, it's a unicellular organism, therefore everything it needs, it could get that via simple diffusion as well as osmosis and active transport in certain cases according to what it needs, but it doesn't need a system. 23. Which of the following arteries does not carry oxygenated blood? So we know all of the arteries carry oxygenated blood except for the pulmonary artery. When it comes to the pulmonary structures, the pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood, while the pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood. So the answer would be C, And remember, that's going from the heart to the lungs, and the pulmonary vein is from the lungs to the heart, the left side. So 24. Which of the following sequences best describe the circulation of blood in the body? The answer is A. So from the lungs to the left side of the heart, this is where the oxygenated blood is going to go. Then it's going to be pumped out of the heart to the other parts of the body. Then after it makes its rounds and it's deoxygenated, it comes back via the vena cava to the right side of the heart, where that whole thing or the whole process would happen again, with it being sent to the lungs. So 25, the main function of cartilage at the end of long bones is to C. Reduce friction. Item 26 refers to a simplified drawing of a renal tubule or a nephron below. So 26, the name of the process which occurs in Q here, remember, we should know what all of the parts are. So Q is the Bowman's capsule. This structure here is the glomerulus. This would be our proximal convoluted tubule. We have the loop of Henle, and then we have the distal convoluted tubule with the collecting duct at the end. So Q, what happens here? We have ultrafiltration is happening at this point. So the answer is D. So 27, the primary function of the neural spine of the lumbar vertebrae is for A, the attachment of muscles. Item 28 refers to the action of the following organisms. So we have 1, the withdrawal of earthworms into its burrow when touched. 2, bending of shoots towards light. 3, rolling up of a millipede when touched with a needle. And 4, movement of maggots away from light. All of this is examples of responses. D. 29. Which of the following conditions does not increase the rate of transpiration? The answer is B, a decrease in temperature. 30. Internal reflection of the eye of light within the eye is prevented by the C, the choroid layer. We saw this question already. 31. Which of the following statements are true of humans? The answer would be B, 1 and 3, which is males produce more gametes than females, and 3, males produce gametes for a longer period of time than females. 32. Again, we should be familiar with this. So, which of the following processes is likely to contribute most to the decrease in dry mass between stage 1 and 2 on the graph? The answer is D, transpiration. Because remember, this is germination taking place. So A, B, and C, we could knock that out. The answer would be respiration. And if we had to give a reason why it would be respiration, remember this is the production of energy by using the glucose or the food stores there. So we have the depletion of the food sources, and this is going to be used for growth as well as respiration by the embryo. So that's why we have the decrease in the dry mass for that period of time there. 34 and 30, 33 and 34 refers to the diagram here of the reflex arc. So 33, when the skin on the hand touches a hot object, the sequence of impulses flow, or the sequence of impulse flow is B. So it goes from 2, the skin on the hand, to 3, to 1, right? So that's the trick there. You have to look at what is on each end. Because if you see 1, 2, 3, you might just say, okay, 1, 2, 3, because they will label it in order. No, they don't ever, or most of the times, it is not going to be labeled in order. So you have to make sure that you know which end is your receiving end and which end is the end that is going to reactate, which is your effector. And 34, the numbered structures in the reflex arc are D would be the correct answer. So 1 is the motor neuron, 2 is the sensory neuron, and 3 is the relay neuron. 35. For a student to recall his biology notes, action takes place in D, the cerebrum. We have memory storage. 36. A seedling illustrated from one side bends towards the light source because the concentration of oxygens become A greater on the side that is away from the light. 37 refers to the diagram of a vertical section through the human skin. So 37, which structure or structures above will be involved in temperature regulation if there's a decrease in external temperature. So if there's a decrease in external temperature, then we know vasoconstriction is going to occur. The hairs on our skin is going to stand to um, to prevent or to minimize the amount of heat that we are losing, right? So what is going to take part there? We'll have C, which is 1, 3, and 4. 1, the muscle, 3, and 4, right? 38. So sexual reproduction is important because B, it results in offsprings which may not be identical to the parents. I think this is supposed to be not. That part was cut off at the end there. 39. A flower has a long style A flower has a long style with a feather stigma or feathery stigma. I think the Y cut off from the end here. So a feathery stigma, long filaments, no corolla, meaning no petals. So remember, corolla is petals as well. And I think there should be an XY here. So, and very small sepals. So the flower is adapted for bee pollination by the wind. 40. Item 40 refers to the following diagram of a germinating seed. So which of the following correctly identifies the structures labeled X, Y, and Z in the diagram above? The answer would be D. So X is our plumule to the top here, Z is the radicle, and this, which is Y, is the cotyledon, where the food is stored. 41. Which of the following processes produce clones? The answer would be B. We met this already, so 2 and 3. So that would be the wonder of the world plantlets that grow on the margin and propagation of sugarcane from cuttings. 42. Each daughter cell produced by mitosis has B. The same number of chromosomes as the parent. 43. The sperm of a certain animal contains 16 chromosomes. How many chromosomes will there be in the nucleus of its skin cells? So remember, with gametes, they are haploid, meaning that they are N, whereas diploid, all of the other cells of the body besides your gametes are diploid, meaning that they will have the full chromosome number. Or so you will have 2N. So in this case, N is 16. So in the skin cell where it's diploid, it would be 2N, 2 by 16, which is C32. So 44, in which of the following parts of the plant would you expect the process of mitosis to occur? The answer is D, the region behind the root tip. That is the meristematic layer there behind the root cap. So 35, two plants grown from seed from the same pod looks exactly alike. They are described as having B, the same phenotype because they look exactly alike. But remember, why we can't say that they have the same genotype is we don't know their method, um, well, the method of fertilization. So we don't know if it's two homozygous parents that were crossed. And we also do not know if the genetic information that they have would be heterozygous or homozygous. So that's why we can say because they look exactly alike, they have the same phenotype. Phenotype is the physical or what we can see based on the genetic information. So 46. Which of the following crosses will produce a 1-to-1 ratio in the genotype of the offspring? The answer is A. So a homozygous recessive female um, with a heterozygous male. All right, so let's do the maths, the quote unquote maths, just to make sure. So let's just give it, let's say R, right? We work with R. So we have homozygous recessive female and a heterozygous male. So that would mean capital R and common R times homozygous recessive. That is what this one is saying. The second one is saying heterozygous female. Well, I just mixed it up here, but this would be female over here, and this would be the male. So now I'll just continue in the same manner. So I'll put the male first. So we have a heterozygous male and a heterozygous female. Then the third one, a homozygous recessive female and a homozygous male. And a homozygous female and a homozygous dominant male. So homozygous dominant male and a homozygous female. And we have here a homozygous recessive. So C and D is off the list because we don't know if the male is homozygous recessive or homozygous dominant. And D, we do not know if the female is homozygous recessive or homozygous dominant. So the answer would lie between A and B. Now remember, we're trying to get a 1-to-1 ratio, right? So heterozygous female, heterozygous male. Remember from the previous video, um, well, not the was it the previous? I think it was 2002 where I was explaining anytime. I think it's 2004. Yeah, 2004. So in previous video, heterozygous. So anytime we have two heterozygous parents, we always get that 1-to-2-to-1 ratio for the genotype. And if we're looking at a phenotypic ratio, what we are going to get is a 3-to-1. Now, the reason why I don't think I had explained about the 3-to-1, but the 3-to-1 comes from the fact that with the genotype, we'll have one homozygous dominant and we're going to have two heterozygous. And remember, with the heterozygous, it is going to display the characteristics of the dominant allele. So you'll have three of them showing whatever is coded for by the dominant, and one that is homozygous recessive that is going to show exactly what the recessive traits are. So the answer would not be B. The answer would be A. So if we just do the quick math, what we'll get, you get two that are heterozygous and two that are homozygous recessive. So 2-to-2, which is 1-to-1 ratio. That's the reason why A is the answer. 47. Which of the following shows the sex chromosomes present in the human male and female? So males, we know we have XY, females XX. The answer is C. 48. Breeders have developed many species varieties, of plants and animals with desirable characteristics. This process is called de-artificial selection. Natural selection has nothing to do with breeders. That is natural, as the name suggests. And well, we know cloning and genetics. Those two answers don't make sense. 49. To which of the following groups does a disease caused by a pathogen belong? So the pathogens causes A. Infectious diseases. 50. Through which of the following means can natural immunity be obtained? Natural immunity will be obtained through 2 and 3, which is breast milk and the placenta. So the answer would be B. 51. Which of the following are direct consequences of diseases in humans? So direct will be 1 and 2, indirect will be 3. So the answer is B. 52. The following statements were made by a number of drug users. So 1. I drink strong coffee every hour. The caffeine keeps me going. 2. I have to inject myself with insulin twice a day. 3. I know alcohol is not good for me, so I only have 3 drinks a day. Sounds like a lot of trainees. And 4. I take antibiotics regularly just in case I catch a cold. What? So the answer, the only one that makes sense from this list and has to be done, like it is necessary, is number 2. If that person has diabetes, they have to inject themselves with insulin. So that is not a statement made by a drug user. All of the others are. Because why are you taking antibiotics just in case you catch a cold? And antibiotics is for bacteria, right? So this person is abusing the use of the antibiotics because antibiotics are most likely prescribed by your doctor. A doctor would never prescribe antibiotics just in case you catch a cold. So the answer would be C, 1, 3, and 4. 53. Which of the following is the best method for investigating the range of organisms found between low tide mark and high tide mark on a sloping, rocky seashore? The answer is A, the use of line transects. Again, we've bounced up that question before. 54. Which of the following graphs which of the following graphs best represents what will happen to the fish population in a pond after caustic soda is dumped in it? That is going to affect the pH of the water. Therefore, the fishes would die, meaning that they are not accustomed to living in that pH, right? And it's a pond, it's an enclosed area, not like there's water constantly flowing into the area. So the answer would be C, where you're seeing the drastic death phase in this growth population here. Well, the growth curve, sorry. 55. Two soil components that are derived from the parent rock material are C, sand and mineral salts. 56 refers to the diagram of the nitrogen cycle below. So which of the stages in the cycle identified below results from the activity of microorganisms? The answer is A, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1, we have nitrates, which is nitrites, to nitrates in the soil. So we have our nitrogen fixing bacteria here. Then we have 2 nitrates in the soil to nitrogen gas in the air, denitrifying bacteria. 3 nitrogen in the air to plant protein. And we have 4, where's 4? Plant protein to ammonium compounds. We have our decomposers doing the work here for us. So these two, where the plant protein to animal protein and animal protein to ammonium compounds, these are not on the list. Well, this one isn't on the list here, right? This one we know is wrong, so we could cross out any with that on the list. So we could put a X here. What else? To this one. So nitrates in the soil to plant protein. This the plant is just absorbing that. So any answer with that we know is wrong as well. So you cross off that. So you could also do this again by the method of elimination if you're not sure about the answer. 57. Which of the following factors has not contributed to the marked increase in the life expectancy of humans over the last 100 years? The answer would be A, gene mutations. So it has not contributed over the last 100 years. Over the last 100 years, we've had better medical care, improved sanitation, and also increased information about diseases. So if we have increased information about diseases, then we know what not to do or what to look out for. Then item 58 refers to the following here. So we've met this list already. 58. The characteristics most likely belong to a plant which grows in a region that is A, warm and dry. 59. Replanting trees on a bare hillside is an example of D, reforestation and restoration. And finally, 60. Which of the following is an advantage of using inorganic fertilizers rather than organic fertilizers? The answer is C. They make nutrients available more quickly. So that brings us to the end of the June 2005. I hope that this would help you in your studies for your exam and that you are also realizing that a lot of the questions that we did previously, just only two that I've done before, we're already seeing questions repeating themselves. So you'll see that as a pattern as we continue moving along, or even when you are doing your own study, you'll notice a lot of questions repeat. But please remember to check through. Don't just start reading it and say, yeah, the answer for this was A. Sometimes the answer could switch its order. So that answer that was A in that last paper, in the paper that you have for your exam, that answer could have actually been D or C or B or something else. Or there may be slight words that are changed. So ensure that you are reading properly before just selecting the answer. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and make sure that you're up to date or that you always get notifications when new videos are posted.